Hello and welcome to the AECC Global Video Series. Today we have guests from the University of Western Australia, Ms. Jacqueline Gower and Dr. Andrew Williams. Thank you very much for taking some time to join me in the video series today. Andrew and Jackie, would you mind please introduce yourself and your role at UWA to our audience?
Sure. Thank you very much, Darryl. My name's Jacqueline Gower. I'm a career advisor at the Careers and Employability Centre based here at UWA. And my role is to support students concurrent to their studies to develop the skills that they'll need to navigate the very complex world of work. So we help to support students with a range of career development activities, including the Careers and Employability Award and a wide range of experiential learning activities.
And Andrew?
Yeah, thanks, Darryl. So my name's Andrew Williams, and I'm currently the Director of Education here in the UWA Business School. So I look after all of the curriculum matters, teaching and learning matters as well for the students from undergraduate through to postgraduate.
Thank you. Well, the gist of today's recording is due to an article that appears in the Singapore Straits Times last month. And by way of a background reading and information, the article was dated on the 10th of September, titled "Universities Need to Tear Down the Subject Silos" by Professor Tan Eng Chee, who is the new and current President or Vice Chancellor of the National University of Singapore, NUS. And he says that his job is not simply to prepare students into a world of work, but also to a world outside of the university gate. In fact, they will graduate into a world of what he called wicked problems that are ill-defined, that will mutate all the time, which will define a single solution and even challenge established bodies of knowledge. And he said that to even try to understand it, much less alone solve it, would require integrating knowledge, skills, and insights from different disciplines. And what he termed as interdisciplinary teaching. And that's what's going to be the new DNA for NUS. So over to my guest, this interdisciplinary teaching is not something new at UWA, isn't it? Could you please share with me when was this in place?
Sure, Darryl. So UWA has adopted the Interdisciplinary Model for undergraduates degree since 2012. And really, that model allows students to have cross-disciplinary learning. So, for example, a student who's enrolled in a Bachelor of Commerce and may be studying finance can then have a second major in a cross-disciplinary area. For example, they could choose something from science like data science. And this allows students to graduate with a broader range of skill sets. Because as I mentioned, the world of work is very complex. Employers are preparing for staffing a very complex workplace. So having that broader range of skills can be very attractive to an employer, and also can make you more competitive. So having a wider range of skills for employment opportunities also allows you to pivot and be a bit more flexible depending on the current market.
Andrew, is there anything you want to add on to that?
No, I think Jackie's captured that really well. I think there's two issues here that we like to concentrate on, if you like, in a very broad way, and that's both knowledge and skills. And of course, the skills is really, in many respects, what NUS is moving towards in terms of, we often call them transferable skills. These are skills that it doesn't really matter what your occupation is or what the product is that your business is selling or anything like that. These skills will be useful across all of those different types of occupations and circumstances. Excuse me. And so we very much, that's the skill aspect of it. But of course, you still have to have certain knowledge. You want your engineers to build bridges that don't fall down, for example. So it's that combination, I think, that really UWA is focusing on. And it's something that we've spent a long time getting right, if you like.
Well, I can understand how the model would work.
stop. Sorry, Daryl. We're going to have to cut this, obviously. I suddenly... I thought that was a good spot to stop. I hope so.
Okay.
Again, sorry.
Yeah, I can understand how this would work for undergraduate, but would it be possible to do that in a postgraduate qualification as well?
Absolutely. And there's a couple of ways of looking at this. So in our postgraduate courses, or what we've sometimes called Cycle 2 courses, is that a student can get a range of skills and knowledge at the undergraduate level. Now, they could decide to go do 2 majors at the undergraduate level that are either very closely related, say, for example, data science and computer science, and really focus on that aspect. And then once they finish their undergraduate degree, we often find that perhaps they'll do a Master of Commerce. Or in the business school here, we have a Master of Business Analytics. And so what they can actually do is then move into another area and develop further skills and knowledge in an area that they didn't focus on in the undergraduate space. And so that's one way that students can link, if you like, the undergraduate to the postgraduate. The other way is simply that you get a deeper understanding. And there's numerous examples of courses here at UWA where you can actually spend your undergraduate degree and choose quite different things, communication studies and, say, marketing, for example. And that gives you a breadth across a couple of different areas. But then you might want to say, well, I want to get some really deeper skills in marketing, for example. So we have a Master of Marketing that you can take that really develops those skills and a mastery of those skills at that level. And so our master's programs are closely related to the undergraduate, either by allowing you to choose a different area or to really take a deeper dive into an area that you did at the undergraduate level but want to explore further.
I see. This is very interesting, isn't it? Well, it has been a while since the batches of graduates who have completed this model. Has there been any feedback from employers regarding the teaching model? And how has it been?
Yes, Daryl. So since 2012, we've had lots of students graduate with both an undergrad. Some students may choose to just have an undergrad and then look for employment opportunities. And then we've had students that have graduated with an undergrad and then postgrad. And as Andrew said, some students are focused on the same area in undergrad, could be cross-discipline, and the feedback has been very, very positive from employers. The focus, as I mentioned, students having a portfolio of skills is highly relevant for today's workforce. So the employers are very happy when a graduate that may set you apart from another candidate. So, for example, if they're hiring for a graduate employment program and they have a lot of students with a Bachelor of Commerce, but the UWA grads have a Bachelor of Commerce and that second major in data science, computer science, or perhaps physics or, maths or even a language, that can really set you apart as a potential candidate for employment. So yes, been very, very well received, and I think because it's future focused on the world of work, solving those more complex problems, which means that in the workplace we'll have to all collaborate together. You won't be working in silos. You'll be working, if you're an engineer, working with people across many, many disciplines.
That's great to know, isn't it? I believe the model was also being consulted with employers before it was put in place at the university, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And, it's really a world-leading model, similar to some of the European and US universities, which is focusing on that non-linear career path that, many students are going to leave and perhaps have 3 or 4 different occupations. So having the broader range of skills from your undergrad and then specialising in your postgrad to give you the more depth of knowledge at that postgraduate level.
Well, in the article, Professor Tan mentioned that there was some, he mentioned an interesting example where he taught the engineering and the medicine faculty at NUS came up with some work that focused on the swab test. And then he also used an illustration of how commerce and social work came up with food delivery during the pandemic situation. I wonder whether there are similar achievements at UWA that you can share with us.
Yes, Daryl. Many of the viewers may be familiar with Nobel Prize-winning professor, Professor Barry Marshall. Professor Marshall is currently working on a project and researching a medical technology device to treat IBS, which is a symptom that affects 800 million people worldwide. And to research this project, he's brought together a multidisciplinary team from medicine, it's data science, there's AI to develop the technology. And I think, increasingly that will be happening. And also, Daryl, I know you're going to highlight some of our more recent graduates from UWA who are also working in cross-collaborative areas, who've got multidisciplinary undergrads and then perhaps postgraduates too that are featured on our alumni page, so students can get a sense of sort of the wide range of career and different pathways that students are taking with this course model.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think it would be great if Jackie can share us the alumni page, for our audience to actually have a look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as students are being challenged with such an evolving, career, and work landscape, what advice or final advice would you give to them if they choose to study at UWA?
Advice? Well, I think UWA has certain benefits, some of which we've already mentioned in terms of the breadth of knowledge and skills. And so that's certainly one aspect. I think the other one that I probably should mention here is that part of the idea behind a cross-disciplinary teaching and learning is not just that an individual student may do a few different things in different areas, but actually also, and I think Jackie alluded to this earlier, you actually bring them together into a team or a group situation. And we actually have specific units here at UWA where we deliberately do that. We've even got one. I remember the article, the Vice Chancellor mentioned these wicked problems. We actually have a unit called Approaches to Wicked Problems. And what it does is it deliberately takes students from different areas of the university, a science student, an art student, a commerce student, these sorts of things, with different skill sets, brings them into the one group. Because, of course, when you do go out to the workplace, you don't necessarily sit in a project or a team with just people who have exactly the same skills and background that you have. And so we need to sort of try and develop those skills, the ability actually to be able to work in a team. So we have project management skills here at UWA, again, where we're putting people in with very different skill sets, different backgrounds, and asking them to develop a specific project. It's a really common thing that people do in the workplace now, is that you get lots of different people with lots of different skills for a specific task or a specific project. And so we really need to develop those skills in our students. And so we have introduced these things really since 2012, since new courses, this type of course began. And so we do put an emphasis on that. And so what that means is that when a student graduates, they've got these attributes that employers really want from our graduates.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? Jackie, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, Daryl, I suppose I'd like to highlight for us what we've seen in this year with the COVID pandemic. And we've seen that some sectors are hiring, some sectors not so much, that having that flexibility with the degree from UWA, for example, has allowed students who have graduated to be more flexible and pivot. And I think that will continue to happen. So, for example, perhaps you had an engineering degree, and that if that sector's not hiring at present, but your second major was something from commerce or a science area, and that may be something that is still continuing to hire. So we've seen some sectors at the moment are really booming. So you also are leaving with that more flexible options, I think, to set you up for, you know, anything like what's happened this year. And I would say my final piece of advice was to, if you're coming to UWA, to engage with the Career and Employability Centre to develop those employability skills concurrent to your studies, and to get involved with the co-curricular and extracurricular studies, because regardless of what you're studying, at what level, undergrad, postgrad, or higher degree studies, there are skills that you need to develop across all sectors of employment to make you a more well-rounded grad.
That's great to hear. Yeah. So Andrew and Jackie, thank you very much for your time today and also the information they have provided. And we at AECC Global wish you and your colleagues at UWA all the best in the coming years. Now, below is the link where you can find more about the UWA programs and also the alumni which have benefited from the UWA education. Please take note, AECC Global will be running the Global Virtual Education Fair from 18 to 24th of October in a number of countries. And if you wish to find out more about University of Western Australia degrees or talk to any of the AECC friendly counselors, please register yourself at the following website. Once again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.